Welcome to the Strategic Project Leader, where we help you leverage strategic project management so you can achieve your goals. Now, here's your host, Fola Alabi.
Hello and welcome to the show today. It's a wonderful segment and we're going to be going right into it. It's a strategic project leader where we help you leverage strategic project management to help you go further, faster in business and beyond. Every single episode, we bring in a wonderful guest to get you way closer to achieving all of those goals that you've always wondered how you can actually achieve and how can you get there. Today, I've got with me Jay on the show. And Jay, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful, my friend. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for actually being here today.
I'm
Today's
going to
going to
miss it.
be pretty unique because we're going to be diving deep into strategies on how you can map your way up to senior leadership. There's so many great leaders, so many aspiring project managers. There's so many experienced PMs who have been wondering out there. So where exactly do I go from here? I've pretty much probably landed a great job. You may feel a little bit stuck and you're wondering what can I do and what can I do different? I have got an awesome leader today who's going to be sharing all of his strategies on how he was able to do just that. He moved beyond just being a project manager to walking his way to senior leadership into the C-suite. I've got, great joy to bring on Sabi. Sabi, how are you doing today?
It's a wonderful day. Good morning.
Good morning. It's definitely awesome to have you this morning, and we're gonna be diving right in. When we think about the whole journey into project management, what made you, start off as a PM?
It's a great journey. I started my journey as a software developer, and I always wanted to be a software development manager because I totally enjoyed it. And I joined City of Portland in 2005 as a software developer. Did that for about a few years, and then I said, no, I want to get to the next level. How can I get to the next level? And I started identifying leaders in my organization. And usually in any organization, you see these leaders, everybody talks about them, everybody says, hey, those are the folks who get things done. So I identified three folks within my organization at City of Portland where everybody would cheer about them and say, oh my God, those are the rising stars. I said, I want to be like them. So what is one common thing? So guess what, Fola? I found one common thing between those three. Can you guess what that was?
They were probably ambitious. They were really great at like learning. They were
Hmm.
strategic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They were strategic, they were ambitious, they were all that. But all three had one common thing, which was in their signature line, they had this PMP.
Okay, the
Right?
fancy credential.
Fancy
Okay.
credential. I had no idea what PMP is. I was like, okay, if I want to be like them, I want to get my PMP. Boom. I get my PMP. And then, of course, I realized it's project management professional certification. I got my certification. I passed it on August 25th, 2008. I still remember that date because it's a hard test. You don't want to forget those special moments. And then I applied for a position as a project manager at a City of Portland. And within 6 months or so, I got that role. And that's how my journey started, official project manager.
I love the word official project manager because I always tell everyone as long as you are one who has got any goal, you're one who has got any needed change at all, and you've been managing that all through your life,
Yeah.
you're already a project manager without even knowing. However, what we want to help you do is even step it a little bit up forward so that you can become a strategic leader. You can actually move things, get results consistently, and get things done. Yes, the PMP is great, and that's a great letter to have next to your name. But beyond a certification, how can you charter a path to senior leadership? And that brings me to you, Sabi. When you got the PMP, that was exciting. You got a role as a project manager. You were able to deliver projects on time, I guess, when it came to cost, schedule, risk management, stakeholder management. You had that on top of it. What exactly is it that we need as a skill set to have that's going to set a driven professional apart that can chatter a path to senior leadership, Sabi?
Absolutely. You need to be strategic. Where do you want to go, right? So here's an interesting story. Uh, I said, okay, I want to be a PMO manager, right? So where I identified where all these PMO managers meet, and there was a group, and there's always these close knit people who are meeting and talking about those things. I was like, man, I want to be part of that group, but that was only for PMO managers. Like, how do I get into that group? It's going to be tough. So what did I do? I joined my local chapter, PMI Portland chapter. I started as a volunteer, and then eventually I came onto the board as VP of membership, and then as president. So as president of PMI Portland chapter, that door got open for me. I was like, man, now I can, listen how these PMO managers talk. What are the challenges that they are facing? So if you want to get ready for that next level, figure out where these leaders meet. When I wanted to become a CIO, I was like, okay, where are these all CIOs go? I was scared. I was like, what do they eat? What do they drink? What do they talk about? Right? So I found an organization called SIM, Society for Information Management, and I joined that organization. And that was like, I will go and talk to those CIOs. I was like, they're just like us. They are human beings just like us. But what challenges are they facing? So that conversation helped me to prepare myself when I get to that role. So what preparation are you doing? How you are preparing right now for that next level?
That's pretty interesting. The preparation is one that everyone needs to have. I always share my strap up framework with my clients to say, when you want to chatter a path to a new career, or if you want to move up in your career, it starts with a self assessment. So I
Mhm.
talk about ensuring you understand what your skills are, you
Mm.
know exactly what your strengths are, what opportunities are actually available, as you said. But a T which comes within that framework is called the tactical research. You need to
Mm.
find out more about the industry. You need to know, as you said, these great leaders, where exactly are they based? What do they eat? If I add that's a
you
new one. I have to add that to my actual frame. What do they drink, right? But seriously, understanding more about where you want to go to creates a clearer path to get there. And just a little bit of a background as we talk about being working in the PMO, because I moved from being a project manager to managing PMOs and setting up project management offices. Because within that particular space, you get to understand what the framework should be, why
Mm.
projects are set up a certain way, how it ties into organizational strategic goals, how everything connects. And so for you, you said you had a feel into the PMO space. How can project managers kind of transition from just not just managing projects to having that governance? Because I believe that you had that background as well. So from the
Yeah.
governance part of it, how did you move after understanding what they drink and what they eat, what they eat?
So that's the toughest transition for any project manager, right? You're an excellent project manager, but that's not going to get you to become a PMO manager, right? Because it's a different skill set. So every time I will go and apply for a position, I was always rejected, saying, hey, you don't have experience managing people. I was like, okay, this is a chicken and egg thing. If you're not going to give me that opportunity, where should I go and get that opportunity? So again, coming back to PMI Portland chapter, that volunteer organization, I go for my interview and I told them, hey, there are three kinds of leadership in terms of complexity. Number three comes in when you're a functional manager, when you're a boss, when you're a supervisor, you have the power, you have the authority. It's tough, but still you have that power, you have that authority to get the work done. Number two, in terms of complexity, comes in when you're a project leader, a project manager. You don't have any power, you don't have any authority, but guess what? You are still responsible for delivering value to the customer. So you are still responsible for delivering results, successfully delivering that project. You need different skill sets. You need a skill set to motivate your team, build those relationships, as long as with all the tools, right? But in terms of complexity, the number one is to be a volunteer leader. If you are a volunteer leader, guess what? No power, no authority. Even the volunteers are not getting paid. So, how are you going to influence other individuals, your team members, so that they start following you. That's where you can go and sharpen your leadership skills. So that's what I brought back into my interview. I said, you know what? I have been a project manager. I successfully delivered so many projects, different kind of projects. That's number two. Number one, I have been a volunteer leader. I have been the chapter president or the board member for last so many years. I have a team of 10 folks who are delivering these services. I have built that influence. Give me number three. I can do it. So that was the key point for me to make that transition into being a PMO manager, because you need different skill sets. 15% of our success comes from tools and technology. 85% comes from dealing with people. Where are you focusing your focus right now? Are you focusing on building those Gantt charts and all those? Man, artificial intelligence is already here. They can do that stuff.
They're
Stop
gonna take it
focusing
all
on that.
away. That's right.
Focus on that 85%. That's where you're going to build a successful journey to become that leader.
For sure, you hit the nail on the head, right? Where a lot of people kind of say, I have maybe just started a role, I haven't got the experience, and if you don't give me a chance, how am I
Mhm.
going to prove that I can do it? There are like so many opportunities that actually out in the community where you can go off, you can actually volunteer, and even at times you could even get paid for it. Even people who are actually people of faith, you can go like to your church, to your mosque, whatever that is, as well, and say, yes, I want to raise up my hands. I want to support maybe the youth group. I want to do this. There's so many avenues where you can actually lead. And interestingly, I think volunteering is even the toughest part, Sabi, because these people are the ones that are even not even getting paid. At the end of the day, if you can successfully manage a team of people where they've got no incentives to actually get the job done and they still deliver,
Yeah.
it will show to your next employer that I can actually do this because I have been able to influence people when there was pretty much no stakes attached. You could throw in a towel anytime.
Yeah.
So I want to also challenge everyone listening to us today is that you need to create a strategy. What is your plan? After doing your research to understand what the market is, where the skill sets are, what the gap is, you need to just get out there and start doing because the only way you can get the experience is by doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Sabi, when you got that role as a PMO manager, so what exactly was the next break? What did you do differently?
The next break came to me actually. I was very comfortable in my comfort zone. It was February 2018. I was still a PMO manager. My boss, who was the CIO at City of Portland, CTO, came to me and said, Sabi, have you ever jumped from an airplane? I was like, no. Well, like, are you interested? I was like, no. He was like, guess what? I'm assigning you to this project. So the project was implementing City of Portland's permit system. City started that project in 2008 until 2018. It had failed 4 times. So the previous 4 project managers were either fired or put in different roles. One of the bureau directors was fired. The local newspaper just loved it. And I immediately went into that fear zone. As humans, right? We 80% of our thoughts are negative. We get about 70,000 thoughts a day. 80% of those are negative. So that negativity got me, and I was like, why me? Right? Am I the next one? My boss want to fire? So what do? I started looking for excuses to get out of this. So I go and talk to my mentor. I said, hey, this is a highly political project. My boss is assigning it to me. What excuse should I give to get out of it?
What excuse?
Well, you are scared, right? You need to
I
know your
know, I
why, right?
know.
It's like I'm comfortable in my comfort zone. Why should I be jumping in? So you finding your why is very important. So my boss tells me, oh, my mentor tells me, Sabi, if anybody can do it, you can do it. I was like, no, 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 no. You're not getting it. You're supposed to get me out of it, not push me in. And he was like, no, you can do it. I was like, okay, this is not helping. So I come back home and talk to my wife, looking for another excuse. Like long hours during the day, we have kids, they have games in the evening. It will put so much pressure on you. And guess what her answer was? Sabi, that's a great opportunity. I will take care of the kids. You go and do that project. It's like, man, somebody get me out of this, right? And I wasn't still sure until next Monday morning. I go back into my office. Around 9 o'clock, I received this email from my daughter. And the email said, Daddy, if a project has failed multiple times, it's a political mess. Here are the four things you can do. She's 10 years old. She's 10 years old telling her dad how to run a complex project. I immediately stood up from my seat. I went to my boss office and I said, you know what? Jeff, his name is Jeff. Jeff, I'm accepting this project. I'm not doing it for anything else. I'm doing it for my daughter. And there is no power in this world which will stop me in making this project successful. So, long story short, you need to surround yourself with people who believe in you. Who is in your circle? Who are those five folks? When you feel a challenge, who are the folks who believe in you say and push you can and say, yes, you can do it, Sabi? Or are those folks when you try to do something else, you try to get out of your comfort zone, they say, yeah, you know, it can't be done, and give you all the reasons for not doing it. So what are you doing to reframe your thoughts? And what are you doing to surround yourself with people who believe in you?
You spoke about mentors, you spoke about your daughter, you spoke about family, you spoke about the four things. I'm just eager to know, what were the four things that she shared with you? Where were those strategies? That was a great story, right? Like, what are
you
those
know,
things she said? Because I've
she
got a couple of things there. I remember conversations even with my son when he comes and he says, Fola, Mom, you've got this. You've got like five things I can see that you're walking
yeah.
on, right? And he kind of
No,
like, at times when you're tired, he's like, you have to keep going. I've got my own down my sleep. I want to know, what exactly did your 10-year-old tell you?
she actually Googled it out and look at four things. She was just caring for her dad. that's
Yeah.
the that's the thing, right? It's like, I believe in my dad. My dad can do it. I can't let my daughter down. That was the fight. That was the strong emotional anchor. So whatever you want to do, whether you want to become an executive leader, whether you want to become a PMO manager, you should be aware about what is your why. What is that emotional anchor? Because the when you're in that leadership, it's not easy. Every day is a challenging one. What is one thing which is going to fire you up every single day when you stand up from your seat and say, you know what, I can do it, and this is the reason I'm going to do it.
I know we talk about the why so much, and a lot of people kind of get stuck that way, and they say, yes, I know my why is because, I've got a family I need to support. I cannot fail my family. Or it's a case of, I know what the implications of failure actually is, and I cannot afford to, for that to be part of my own legacy.
Yeah.
However, even digging deeper, where you feel a little bit stuck, think about a professional who wants to push and who wants to jump off of a plane. However, they haven't actually got the support. And I remember during a mentorship program that I was doing with a particular client, and she was saying, I always had dreams, I've always had hopes. However, there's never been anyone who has been rooting for me. And then I always want to push that person forward. And I said, at times you can never tell, the people around you, but you have to choose and make that decision. But still, you also have to be your greatest cheerleader, right? What do you listen to? What do you hear? If you cannot get the people, you can get some form of resource. So what would you say are the strategies that people who haven't got those great five people, like you've got a great wife, you've got kids, which is actually great. For some people that are living a dysfunctional life where
Yeah.
it's like they're kind of like just there and they want to make things work, but life isn't fair. You know what I mean? Like people
Up.
say life happens to you, and I'm like, life happens for you.
Yeah.
But how exactly can those people move on and achieve
Yeah.
the success that you have?
You have to dig a little bit deeper on that, right? First of all, you're going to attract who you are, first of all, right? So are you the person who's giving? Usually we're in this mindset, I will give if I have something. It doesn't work like that. You have to give first before you start receiving. So what are you giving right now? Instead of thinking, what should I get, right? So reframe that thought and say, okay, how can I give? Who can I help? If you change that thought process and don't make it about yourself, but make it about other people, that's the mindset you should have when you're going to start growing as a leader. So that's one. Second piece of that is reframing your thoughts to be more positive. There is a book called The Secret. I always talk about that. It's your thoughts create the reality. What are you thinking about? If you're thinking about, I am not successful, there is no one out there, I can't succeed. What are you telling the world, the universe? You're telling you can't succeed. Guess what? You're not going to succeed. But how can you reframe that thought and say, I'm a big champion for myself. I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to learn new skills. I'm going to learn leadership skills. I'm going to, give. I'm going to surround myself with people. I'm going to go and lead this volunteer organization. I'm going to surround myself with those project managers. That's where you're going to succeed. Are you giving? Or are you in that mindset that I just need to, somebody needs to be there and helping me out? No, life isn't fair. Is it going to you're going to succeed every time? No. 60 to 75% of the time you are going to succeed if you just reframe your thought, have that burning desire, and bring everybody back.
I have a question for you, sir. I know you guys have been talking about what to do when you're in this position, and even once you're in an organization, how to possibly get these opportunities to take on these projects. But you started the conversation off by talking about your PMP. And I would like to know, you mentioned it's a hard exam. So what type of preparation did you put into studying for that exam, and just how hard was it?
It was at least 14 years ago, but it was a hard exam. I spent at least 3 months studying for that, and I will allocate at least 2 to 3 hours per day. And then I have my wife who will always, once a week, she will ask me all those questions. And then some days she will take the kids away to my in-laws' place so that I can prepare. So there was that help and support from them. Then I was surrounded with some of the group people who were also preparing for that. Finding somebody, a mentor who has gone through that exam and help you give those tips how to succeed. One tip I still remember, and I will give it to you if you're preparing for your PMP. When you want to go for your PMP, give at least 5 tests, 5 times. Those tests, which are those, not the real test, the prep test.
So you do like a prep test, yes.
So if you're giving a test in the morning, wake up in the morning, 8 o'clock if that's your time, and go for the whole 4 hours. What I've seen people doing is they just they give that test for 1 hour and they say, okay, I'm done, I'm okay. No, your body, your mind, everything is going to behave differently when you are going through that 4 hours. You need to experience that before going for the actual PMP test so that you can understand how your body is going to behave, how your mind is going to behave.
No, that's a great piece of advice too. But I want to know more, like what was going through your mind when you sat? So explain to me what the process was. What was the exam like? It's 4 hours?
4 hours, 200 questions. Some of those, it's like, okay, I don't want to even, remind myself how painful that was, but it was good. But here's the thing, because, what makes this exam tough is they don't ask you, out of 4 questions.
I know.
Yeah, out of four options, they tell you what is the best answer.
Sir.
All those 4 are right answers, right? How are you gonna figure out what's the best answer? That's where you're gonna wear the hat of PMI and not wear the hat of your real project management, because there is a difference. It's more theoretical. What is the best case scenario? And you have to really think through that and start telling yourself, okay, I'm a project manager, but what is PMI is going to think about that? That's how I was able to give those answers.
All right, one more question on the PMP.
Oh my God, Jay!
I have to know these things, sir.
It seems like you're preparing for PMP, man.
I'm preparing right now. I didn't think about it till this day, and now I feel like I need to know.
Probably next time you come in, you have to have a PMP behind that.
I'll type it in right now.
Oh, Jay! Jay has way more beyond a PMP.
You just type it in after your name. I can do that. All right, sir. So we prepare for this exam.
Yes.
Okay. It's 4 hours.
Yes.
It's multiple choice, but the multiple choice is at a point where you can't rule out answers because they all apply, and we have to select the best.
That's right.
Okay. So we go through all this. We sit for these 4 hours. We get the PMP.
Yes.
Okay. Now, does that PMP truly do something to our career, or is it just social proof?
Yeah. So that's a good question, Jay, because people usually ask me when I mentor PMs and everything else around that. PMP is going to open the doors when you're looking to change that career. Let's say you want to be, you are not a project manager, but you want to change to an organization. You were like unofficial project manager. You want to break into that. It's going to open those doors for you. It also depends upon your organization whether they value PMP or not. If your organization doesn't value PMP, guess what? It's a social check-in. But if your organization values PMP, yes, it's going to help you to grow in your journey within that organization. But here's the thing: PMP doesn't make you a perfect project manager. The experience which you're going to do, that's going to make you project manager. But PMP gives you the tool set. It gives you that language so that you can talk with other project managers. It's standardized tool set. That's what PMP is.
And I think you hit the nail on the head because when we talk about designations and certifications, I also think about the other side of it, which is also Prince 2. I got my Prince 2 designation apparently about 18 years ago. And at that particular time, I was in Europe anyway, and that was a de facto standard for certifications and how you execute on projects. And I think getting that Prince 2 next to my name was going to open the doors. However, I was able to even break in and get my first project management role without designation. So it's very important for people to understand that the designation can only take you so far. But if you are prepared and if you have the deep knowledge of what project management actually is, the value you can bring, you are even able to break in and get the roles that you want because I did it. And you've mentioned so many of those principles. The mind frame and what we try to shape as strategic project leaders is that you have to be a professional who is driven beyond just the mundane. People say, think outside of the box, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
always say, don't even see the box. An organization is out there focused on delivering value to their customers. Projects are there to help create a new reality, right? We're meant to come in, create something new, improve a process or a system. How exactly can you ensure that within your role, you are consistently doing that
yeah,
and also able to be strategic and look beyond even just a particular piece? And I'll give you an example. For instance, there's so many transformations going on across organizations. And there was a project manager that I was actually mentoring who said, yes, my own stream is just to roll out the software upgrades. And I asked the question, how exactly would your stream impact the overall program and the portfolio? He actually didn't have an answer to that. I'm like, if for instance there is a delay or something fundamentally happens, do you know how that ties into the overall portfolio? He was like, no,
mm,
I'm tracking my plans and I'm actually good with that. I'm meeting with my stakeholders and we're communicating. I'm like, a project always fits into a bigger piece of
yeah,
this actual
right,
puzzle.
yeah,
How clear are you and how exactly are you connecting to the actual strategy of your organization? Because I know I want everyone to get out of this particular episode is the path to senior leadership, ensuring that you have a clear plan and have an understanding of what you do on a daily basis and how that ties into what moves the needle at senior executive level.
yeah,
I don't think you've actually started yet. So even be you a technical writer, you're writing a software or you're writing a script or you're testing the software. How exactly does that tie into the overall IT strategy?
yeah.
Do if you've got like a start to finish relationship? Do you know what the risks are? Do you know what the industry is actually going? How exactly, Sabi, have you been able to build that mindset and shape that? Because I know you're a CIO at the moment, and that's
Yeah.
pretty critical. But in mentoring the new aspiring project managers, how do you get them to understand the bigger picture?
Yeah, yeah. So here's the thing: all the leaders, whether it's CIO or executive leaders, we are all on autopilot. Autopilot in the sense is we have so much work to do. As a PM, you want to show up as a standout leader. I talk about purple cow leadership. How do you stand out as a leader? What are the things? So if, as Fola said, if you are that project manager who stand out and ties your projects with that strategic goals of your organization, you're already standing out. What are the other things which you're doing? Having those conversations. Have you ever had a coffee with your CIO? Did you ever thought about that you can have it? What did you? Why? Because we think, oh my God, we get fearful about, oh, what he or she is going to think about that. No, get out of your comfort zone. If you want to if you want to connect with the CIO, with a PMO manager, what are they thinking? Go and take them out for coffee and say, hey, what are your strategic goals? What are you thinking? Where do you think this organization is going? And then tell them how you can make a difference, how you can connect it, how you are that strategic thinker. We are scared. Here's the thing. I usually tell this: 33% of the people are gonna love you no matter what you do. 33% of the people are gonna hate you no matter what you do.
Oh my God,
No,
that's scary, Sabi.
and 33% of the people are in the middle who are there with you if you're real, authentic, and everything. Don't focus on that 33%. Because no matter what you do, if you start focusing on 33%, those are the people who are going to take you down. Focus on that 66% and say, you know what, it's okay. It's okay to take those risks. It's okay to get out of my comfort zone. It's okay to do things differently, because the system has been put in place. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to be in that same role all throughout your life. And I have seen those people who have been PMs all throughout their life, and they have been struggling. You have to stand out.
Oh my goodness. We talk about standing out and doing that. It's it's the number one piece without a doubt, because in an organization you always have, what are we gonna say? 30, at times it's like 5,000, 100. There's so many people struggling and wanting one particular thing, right? Everyone wants to scale. However, how can you ensure that you can actually scale? How can you ensure you can actually do that? You have to be strategic without a doubt. And
Uh,
this kind of brings me to, when I think about this and how do we apply this even to a personal life?
yeah.
I always talk about the project lifestyle, right? And we talk about scaling and moving to senior leadership. And people say, yes, I can probably try and do that at work. Sabi has said standout leadership, and that's great. How are you ensuring that in your day to day at home? How are you leading yourself as a leader? I call this being insightful,
Mm.
the intelligent strategic leader, even at home. How are you planning beyond today? People speak about, yes, things are always changing. I'm not able to like get things off from my spouse or whatever that is. But do you sit and have these conversations, as Sabi has actually said? Are you actually ensuring that they are clear as to where you're going as a family?
Yeah.
Because for me, project management is just not a career, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
How do I take those great communication skills, my planning skills? How do you bring that home to ensure that everyone is on the same page? Sabi said he comes back home and his wife goes through the past questions. I see people who even say that, I know I'm doing something, I just really don't even want my spouse to know I'm doing that. Then there's a fundamental problem. Two people cannot walk together. A family can never unite and scale and become better and become a success if you don't actually work in unity.
Yeah.
There has to be unity. There has to be an equal playing field where everyone comes in, everyone is working together, and everyone is actually clear about where you're actually heading, what the
Yeah.
goal is.
Fola, I will add one more thing to that. Great pitch.
Okay.
When we look at relationships, we usually look at relationships as 50-50. You're giving your 50% and you're putting 50% on the table. What about, you're giving your 50%, another individual doesn't give that 50%. There's a chance for failure in that relationship. There is a principle called 100-0. 100-0 principle says you give your 100%, own that relationship, and expect nothing in return. Because eventually, once you start doing that, the other person, I will say 70 to 80% of the time, start giving that 100% as well. And if they don't give it, then you are not meant to be in that relationship. Stop being in that relationship. Are you giving that 100%? Are you giving that, owning that relationship? Whether that relationship is with your team, with your spouse, partner, boss, whatever that is. How can you say, you know what? I'm going to change my mindset today. I'm going to be that 100%. I'm going to own this relationship. I'm going to make it successful.
That's right. You have to be the change you want to see. You have to lead. And that leads us, tiny, quickly get the prayer lifestyle. I just preempted that. For us to, create the life that you really want, you have to be able to give. I even call it 110. Go beyond the normal, right? Be willing to show up at work. I remember a post that I did a couple of days ago, and I said, we show up at work because we feel, oh, yes, we should be paid for it. But when you have a mindset shift, knowing that I'm here to add value, I'm actually even being paid for it, even if the environment isn't that great, but put in 100%. Get the skills that you've actually learned. Have a learning mindset where you feel that, okay, I may not have all the answers, but I'm actually going to go out and find it.
Yeah.
In your personal life, how are you showing up with that mindset? How are you willing to push and provide everything that is needed to ensure success is actually achieved? What exactly is it you actually doing on a daily basis? Because at times it's a case of you might put in a little bit and then your hands off. You're like, okay, no, I think I've actually done enough. But ensure that you're willing to go the whole way, because at some point, the person who's putting 0% will definitely sit up and say, what am I, what exactly is going on here? And if Asabi has actually said they're not willing to change in your relationship, then you know you're probably, in the wrong one. But the key I want everyone to take away today, there's a couple of things that we spoke about, leadership, standing out, putting 100%, doing your research and understanding what the needs are and how you can be of value, ensuring that you are one that you are always going to be the one called upon when something needs to be done. What do people think about you when you are not in the room? What have you actually put in place to ensure that you are the go-to? You are the one that will always stand out and say, yes, we need to call Fola, right? We need to get her feedback on that particular issue. So be it at home, be it at work, be it wherever it is, you need to embrace the strategic mindset. You need to be flexible, embracing agility, and you need to have a process to help you achieve the goals that you want. I cannot thank everyone enough. It's definitely been a great pleasure. I can see Joseph. There's been great people by who joined us. TD, I can even from Ghana. We had someone joining from Ghana. Oh my goodness, it's been a global piece today. Sabi, thank you so much. We can go on and on and on. We're just meant to do a half an hour, but I definitely know that I need to bring you back. So what's good and where people can actually find you, and what else is actually brewing, that people can connect with you about?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go, find me on Twitter. Actually, I have a hashtag selfie sabi. That's the best way to do it. Find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, hashtag selfie sabi. That's my website, sabywaraich.com. But, I had a great time here. Thank you, Fola, for giving me this opportunity. Here's the one last nugget I'm going to tell you with. There is a system which is put in place that we as people of color have to work 150% more harder than somebody else. Are you willing to put that 150% out? Or are you here to complain the system and say, I can never win because the system is there. I can never. Or are you owning that and say, you know what? I'm ready to put 150% more because you have to. Stop complaining, start owning.
That's right. My favorite quote I always talk about every single day is, in order to create a future others crave today, you must act in ways others won't.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what it is. We have to keep pushing. We have to ensure we're doing that. And that has to be done consistently every single day. It's been a great discussion. Jay, goodness, where can people find you? My number one producer. He makes all of these things happen.
You can find me over at jfrenzy.com,
Thank you so much,
where I
Jay.
will be giving 149%.
Oh, Jay, 149. Well, that's great. I always even push for 200%. I always do double. People say put in 100%. I'm like, I want to stand up. I want to put in 200%. So that way, beyond reasonable doubt, you're going to say, Fola showed up and showed out. And if there's anything else, yeah, let's actually pick that up later. And if you want to find out more for sure, you can head onto our website. If you just let's keep the conversation going. If you've got questions, let us know. If you're actually watching us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Let us know how we did today. Thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure. Oh my goodness, I could keep this going on and on, but I've got the red light saying we need to go off now. Sabi, thank you so much. Thanks for honoring our invitation. Thank you, Jay, for making this happen as well. I cannot wait to see you all on the next one. It's been a great pleasure. You made my day already. Have yourself a wonderful one. Bye bye.